We had the first two games of the NBA play-in last night, and I stayed up to make sure I watched all of it, man. And I had a lot of fun, all said and done. Yeah, we're going to break down the two games last night, kind of the perceptions around all of them, what it means for those teams, the teams moving on, the team eliminated, and yeah, let's start breaking it down. Quick shameless plug, though, to make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and all those things. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend on continuing that. So yeah, there's my shameless plug. Let's talk some basketball. All right, Joe, we're back on the spreadsheets, just because I think it helps demonstrate everything that was happening in the game, and I don't want to show too much film because I might get demonetized then, and that's no fun at all. But anyway, Pelicans-Lakers, first game last night. The game started out super intense, and that was a lot of fun. Like, the Pelicans were picking them up like full court. They had some interesting matchups going on. We had the first five correct, like with Rui Hachimura. It's not like that was a surprise or anything like that. And honestly, we nailed the rotations for like both of these teams. This is pretty much like solely who they went to. We even got like some of the ninth men guys, right? Like if we were to have a ninth man box right here, it was Gabe Vincent that came in for a little bit, and he actually contributed at points during the game. And then here we had Dyson Daniels, which is what we figured would happen. But yeah, let's go through and talk about each of the players and like what we noticed about them, and then we'll talk about the game itself and everything. Valanciunas, not nearly the factor that maybe we thought he was going to be. They ran a play to get him like a nice post up down low early in the game, and then he didn't really get a ton more touches, which I'm kind of surprised about because, you know, let's get right into AD. Like, Anthony Davis was ass last night. Like, he was not good at all. Like, I know he had like some big offensive rebounds and stuff, and he finished with 20 points, but like he just didn't look like he was engaged at all. I know there's a possibility that like his hips are still hurting and his back was hurting, but he looked so uninterested the whole game, and it was honestly really annoying for me to watch. Like, he was just conceding layups over and over and over again, like just letting smaller guys kind of go at him. That's why I was like, why are we not going at Valanciunas? Like, Valanciunas will continue to back him down, but I know they wanted to up the pace and everything and get Larry Nance in the game, and Valanciunas missed some easier buckets, but like Anthony Davis just like was not engaged, and I can't put my finger on like why it was. I'm sure there is a reason. It's just he just wasn't really in it. Honestly, the only reason he had 20 points is because he got to the free throw line, and like honestly, I thought those were a lot of lame calls. I thought this game was a lot softer than maybe it should have been. Like, I just felt like there was a lot of calls that could have just gone uncalled, especially when you got guys like Zion that are like knocking people down like every play and everything, and they let kind of that stuff slide when he does it, but there's like all these ticky-tack ones being called, and I'm like, okay, we really need some consistency here. Getting into this four-man matchup here, it was mostly Rui Hachimura guarding Zion, and Zion was obviously phenomenal. He did get hurt at the end of the game, and it feels like that cost the Pelicans the game because they were just going to Zion, repeat. And I love when coaches and players realize this. They're like, hey, if there's no way to stop it, we're gonna keep pressing repeat on it, right? Just give it to Zion, let him get to his left. He's gonna finish over Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis isn't contesting any shots, and it was working great. Honestly, Hachimura though did phenomenal. We figured Hachimura would be on him. He did a great job defending him. Same with Taurean Prince. Like these two right here had a phenomenal night. Taurean Prince came in and hit some timely shots. So did Hachimura. I've been saying this on the channel for a while, but I think Rui Hachimura is a lot better player than what we get to see on the court sometimes. Like, I just feel like they don't always put him in the best role to succeed, and I feel like last night he got like some more touches and everything, and that was awesome. You see that he can create, he can shoot, like he's an elite defender, he's so strong. Like, I love his game, and obviously Taurean Prince just had a really good night last night, so like great effort on Zion and everything. It's just at the end of the day, there was nobody to help you at the rim with AD just not being that engaged, and so Zion just kind of got there at will. LeBron obviously had a great night as well, did his LeBron thing. There were definitely points where Stan Van Gundy was even pointing it out. He's like, it just doesn't look like the athleticism's like all the way there. I feel like last night was one of the first times I've seen LeBron not just be like the best, most dominant athlete on the court. There was a couple layups that he left short where he just didn't quite get the elevation that he used to, and like, you know, it's whatever, but LeBron still played a great game. There's a couple times he fell asleep on defense, but like overall, really good game by LeBron. But let's talk about BI real quick. Brandon Ingram, I felt like I was having a panic attack watching him play, because I'd be like, all right, like, wow, Brandon Ingram's so good, and then I'd be like, what is Brandon Ingram doing? And I'm like, oh wow, he's looking so good again, and now I'm like, what are you doing, dude? It was just so strange. Like, he would take and make such good shots and hit such good passes, but then there was sometimes it's like, bro, pass the ball. Like, you've been dribbling around these two people from like 10 feet away for like 15 seconds now. Like, this just isn't the shot. There's got to be another way to get a bucket. But he's probably the best creator on the team, so like it's got to work. And he really didn't even play in the fourth quarter. They just kind of sat his ass, even with Zion out of the game, which I was like, okay, like, I understand, but like, let's put Brandon Ingram back in the game. We need a bucket right now. Like, CJ McCollum did his thing or whatever, but come on now. Like, we needed Brandon Ingram at the game, or in the game there. Austin Reeves had some timely buckets and stuff, but I kind of felt like they were kind of like delegating him to just kind of being in the corner and stuff. Like, some of the times he got the ball were at the end of the shot clock, and he didn't really get to run a ton of pick and roll. And honestly, like, they just didn't run like a ton of like pick and roll stuff anyway, because even like D'Lo, who's so good at that, like that just wasn't what they were doing with him. So I kind of feel like Reeves got the short end of the stick, but was opportunistic when he had those chances. Herb Jones was amazing. Herb Jones was picking people up full court, playing elite defense. He was one of the few guys on the Pelicans that I felt like actually had some energy the whole game. I would give it to this five right here: Zion, Herb, Trey, Jose, and Larry Nance. Like, that was the five last night. Like, they all had heart the whole game. I feel like the rest of them were kind of just like, yeah, you know, like whatever's happening is happening. But yeah, great game by Turbo Herbo. CJ McCollum obviously just had a bad night. Defensively wasn't good either, so kind of just a rough one for CJ. D'Lo, great first half, and honestly, he finished off the game pretty well too. I loved the energy he came out with. Like, he was really letting people have it on the sidelines and stuff. Like, he was really talking that talk and like just spraying from everywhere. So all of you people that don't like D'Angelo Russell, like, why? The dude is such a good basketball player. Like, you need to leave whatever misconceptions you have of him behind. D'Angelo Russell's such a good basketball player. I got a little bit nervous in like the second half because he like missed like his first shot, and then I saw him like pass up an open one to pass it over to like Reeves or whatever, and I was like, nah, I want you to keep being in attack mode. Keep being in attack mode. Like, that's what I would have told him as a coach. But overall, Russell had a great game. He obviously hit that shot at the end of the game, and that's more so because I didn't understand why they put Dyson Daniels in at the end of the game there instead of Brandon Ingram. And then Dyson Daniels like helped over. He broke the number one rule of defense, which for you kids out there, don't help one pass away. That's the number one rule of defense. You don't help one pass away. And that's what he did. And he left like a 40% three-point shooter that's been hot the whole night, wide open, and that sealed the game. So it just is what it is. But yeah, no, D'Lo, great game. Looking at some of these bench guys, Dinwiddie didn't contribute too much. Taurean Prince obviously had a really good night. Jackson Hayes was nice in transition because the Pelicans like did not get back in transition like at all. Like, they kept doing this thing where they were like waiting out at the 3-point line. Like, when you get back in transition, you're supposed to get to underneath the basket and then work your way out. Like, protect the rim first and stuff like that, and then kind of work your way out. And they just were not doing that. So Biggs kept like getting underneath them and getting some shots, and Jackson Hayes did that enough. And honestly, the Lakers cherry picked, I feel like 8 or 9 times last night because AD or Bron didn't get back, but you know, it's whatever. So decent game for them. The bench for the Pelicans was phenomenal. Trey Murphy was doing his thing. He was hitting crazy shots with crazy arc. Jose Alvarado played through like 2 ankle sprains and was still just giving it to him. We made the prediction. I'm like, he's gonna get in a fight with somebody, and he did instantly. And I was like, that's why I love Jose Alvarado, man. You need a guy like that on your team. And Larry Nance just provided them a lot more like speed, a little more up tempo, hit some threes, got some big rebounds. Great game out of Larry Nance. All right, just a couple game notes I have written down over here. Like, the Pelicans in the half court really struggled. Like, when they were out in transition, they were really good, but when the Lakers started slowing them down, they could not get anything going. That's when BI and CJ really started missing all their shots, and the only reason it ever really got going is because Zion just took over. And part of that, of him being able to take over in the half court, was because they got back out in transition and they just gave him the ball starting at half court, and they're like, all right, go get ahead of speed and nobody's going to stop you anyway. I also just had that, like, Brandon Ingram went dark at one point. It's like, yeah, he just, like I said, it just didn't look like he was playing, like, team basketball. It seemed like he really just kind of lost interest in it. Like, it was kind of sad to watch in a lot of ways. But, you know, like, hopefully there's a bounce-back game. I know he's just coming back from an injury and stuff. But yeah, the only other things I had written down where I'm like, I feel like Valanciunas post-up should have been more prevalent. And then just, yeah, Anthony Davis was just kind of non-existent in the game. So, yeah, Lakers moving on to play the Nuggets and everything. We'll break down kind of that series outlook in another video, but it's going to be an interesting one. I think they're going to struggle a little bit, but New Orleans, Denver also doesn't have like a very big bench. And so I feel like size-wise, like Rui Hachimura is going to be like a really big player in that series, probably Taurean Prince again. We'll see how Anthony Davis does, because if Anthony Davis was struggling in this game, Jokic is going to hit you all the harder, dude, so best of luck with it. Yeah, no, obviously the Pelicans will play the Kings now in the next game, so let's go talk about the Kings and Warriors now. Alrighty, Kings Warriors, the later game last night. So we did not get the rotation right with this one. At least we got the Kings one pretty much down like pat. Like we really got that one. The Warriors, they decided to throw. You know what? Let me just get it on the screen. So this is more so what it looked like, more so a traditional starting five for the Warriors with Klay Thompson back in the first five, and they started Trayce Jackson-Davis. And now I know I've never really been a Trayce Jackson-Davis supporter or anything. I was like, this is a really weird move to throw your pick that I know he's been pretty solid this year, but I'm like, we're going to throw him in against Domantas Sabonis when Kevon Looney's kind of like had his number for most of their career. I'm like, seems a little odd, and man, they pulled him out real quick. Like, he started off not too bad, like he had a lot of energy, and then it seemed like his energy became a bit too much, and they were like, okay, like you're kind of just in the way now, like we're going to take you out because Sabonis kind of is just giving you the work right now. So yeah, he really only played, how many minutes did Trayce Jackson play? Yeah, he only played 10 minutes. So yeah, that was kind of a failed attempt there. But yeah, Sabonis was the key, kind of like what we talked about. And you know what, let me just even touch on the rest of the lineup quick. This was pretty much the bench they went with, but then Kevon Looney kind of replaced Trayce Jackson-Davis. And Kevon Looney did a good job against Sabonis, but again, the Warriors' problem, they just can't get rebounds. And like the Kings just were like rebounding them and out hustling them in every single opportunity that they could. It's just, I just don't know how many times you can roll this Warriors team out, and I know they've won a ton, and so how much can you really criticize them? Hard to say, right? But it's like going into these seasons, like how do we not address the fact that there's nobody to grab rebounds and there's no size on this team? Like, how we got to find a center for this team at some point. Looney's nice, don't get me wrong, Looney's nice, but like, can we just get someone with some size and presence on the team? Because Sabonis really had his way with them and everything. We definitely saw those moments where he got the offensive rebound and maybe should have kicked it back out, and he didn't. But that's okay. He was still extremely dominant. He was running the floor. Like, he had energy. It was awesome. But let's talk about like Draymond Green. I thought he played well all night. Like, defensively, passing. Like, I know the vets for the Warriors just didn't really play well last night. I thought Draymond Green played really great. Like, I thought defensively he was there. He was communicating well. He was always in the right spot. He made great passes. Like, I thought Draymond had a great game. I hit a couple shots too, but unfortunately, the starting power forward for the Kings went absolutely nuclear. I've been trying to tell y'all, Keegan Murray is that dude. Like, I truly think he could even play like small forward at points. Like, he's that guy. He can go off the dribble. He's playing with pace. Like, you see him, like, he attacks a closeout and he takes a little bit of time, and now he's got like a floater he's going to. He's got a little pull-up that he can go to, and he's just lethal from three. So, like, man, what a game. And that his offense last night, for as crazy as it wasn't even the best part of his game, because he guarded Steph Curry most of the night, which we did not see that coming. So yeah, we had a 4 guarding a 1, and he played really great at it. Like, he was disrupting Curry like crazy. Like, Curry obviously had a rougher game. Couldn't quite get his shot off. He had a lot of turnovers, but it's not even like Curry necessarily making lazy passes. Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis were just all over them. Shout out Mike Brown, one of the smarter coaches in the NBA, in my opinion, like just giving him different looks at all time. He's like, all right, now I'm going Keon, and Keon's going to get like really up in him and everything. And like, it looked like Curry was getting really frustrated with Keon Ellis on him. But Keegan Murray then giving the length and everything and making sure he couldn't get around him. It was absolutely awesome to watch. Andrew Wiggins, I felt like, was kind of non-existent. Again, like, he just kind of fell asleep for most of the game. Like, I just didn't really see him around. We could have used some of that offensive rebounding that he's like been so good at in the past. Just didn't really come through. There was a couple times where it looked like he was about to get into attack mode, and then it just didn't quite happen, unfortunately. Harrison Barnes, though, like, quietly had like a really nice game. Harrison Barnes, 17 points, 3 for 4 from 3, and like, there was like a little bit of like explosiveness when he was coming off the dribble as well in that game. I was like, oh, I see you, Harrison Barnes. Still got a little bit left in the tank. So shout out Harrison Barnes there. Played great defense, just really nice game. Shooting guards could not have had more opposite games. Klay Thompson was absolutely abysmal. You know what? Let's just pull it up. I hate to pull it up, but 0 for 10, 0 points, Klay Thompson. I don't really know what to say about it. He took the shots that he normally takes, and they didn't fall in. I'm pretty confident Klay Thompson can still be a really good player in the NBA, hopefully with a full offseason and everything, and I'm going to assume he's back in Golden State. I don't know why he wouldn't be. It's probably going to be on a more team-friendly contract, which is good, and they'll also have Chris Paul's money off the books, so hopefully they can make some better adjustments. I just don't see him going anywhere else, but Klay Thompson can still be a really big part in the NBA. It's not like athleticism and everything has ever been his key, so I'm not really worried about that diminishing. It's just shots just weren't falling. Keon Ellis, though, my man was doing everything. He was elite defensively. He was getting rebounds, like all the hustle plays. You could tell he was getting confident too, because he's like, you know what, let me like fake this three, go to the hoop, and like see if I can create, because he was making really good passes too. Like he was getting into the paint, like drawing all the attention, then dumping it off to Sabonis or whoever was like down in the paint or whatever. And I was like, okay, Keon Ellis, look at you putting together like a full-on game, and the crowd was feeding off it, man. It's like, if he's shooting well and doing all this, man, it's gonna be tough, man. That, like Sacramento, you might have your shooting guard going forward if that's the case. Curry obviously was doing all the things that he tried to do. I noticed that the Kings were really going at Steph Curry. Like a lot of times the Warriors do what's called like a bump off defense so that they can kind of hide him throughout the game. And the Kings were staying very focused on him and making sure they were trying to attack him. And that's going to wear you out after a while, right? And I know De'Aaron Fox was going at him whenever he had the chance, even though like they tried to make sure that Curry was never on him. They were just really trying to figure out ways to get Curry involved defensively, like the Kings were, so that they could attack him. And that's honestly brilliant. I love that. And yeah, De'Aaron Fox just played a great game. You saw the speed and athleticism, like playing within himself. Just great game by Fox. The benches for both sides, like Chris Paul was really trying to create stuff when he could. It didn't look like anybody was playing well off of him, honestly. So like I thought Chris Paul played fine. Kuminga played just like a little crazy and like all over the place. I felt like he was trying to prove something the whole game, so not really sure. I know he put up some decent numbers, but he just looked so out of control the whole night. So, and honestly, most of the Warriors did. They looked really stifled by like the Kings defense. Pods played pretty good. Hit some nice transition threes and everything. I think he played a little more within himself. I'd say Pods had a pretty good game. And then also, yeah, shout out Kevon Looney. He did his thing, right? Defensively, got some rebounds, guarded Sabonis pretty well, so shout out Kevon Looney. The bench for Sacramento, Davion Mitchell continued to be pretty hot in terms of a player. Like he's finally starting to like attack the hoop again and be really quick. Looked good as a defender. Again, the whole team looked like they were just locked in defensively, so shout out Davion Mitchell. Trey Lyles did his thing. Like he even showed some explosiveness on some closeouts too, where I was like, I didn't know you had that speed in you, Trey Lyles. I gotta fix your 2K ratings. So shout out him. Alex Len just looked confused most of the time, honestly. I don't know how you're that big and you can't contribute a little more than that, but you know what? He came in when he needed to and brought some size, so I guess you can't complain too much, right? I'm sure the Warriors would have loved to have Alex Len in this game. All right, some other notes that I have here. I noted that the pace was really high in that game, and that was a lot of fun. It was a lot faster than the Pelicans-Lakers game, so that was pretty cool. I said the Kings are actually seeing mismatches. This is something that I tell every high school coach I talk to when they ask me for like advice on things. I'm like, do you know how many games you'll win if you just teach your players to like look at mismatches? And I feel like it's something that people are like forgetting how to do. If you just see someone that's like completely outsizing someone else, like just go post them up. Like there were times where Sabonis got people switched on to him, or Keegan Murray, and they just went and dumped it down to him or something. And it's like, okay, like we can work inside out now. I've actually done projects before where I look at like the points per possession when you get a paint touch versus when you don't, and it's like a 0.4, 0.5 points per possession differentiation. Like it's a huge difference. If you can get in and work your way back out, the ball will find its way back to you. And so I thought the Kings did a really good job of that. I noted that the Kings fans are just awesome. Like I'm so happy for Kings fans. Like I'm sad to see the Warriors go, just because how many times do we get to watch Steph Curry up to this point now? Like there's just only so many times left, and so it's sad to see them lose. But man, Kings fans are awesome. All you Kings fans out there, let me hear it in the comments. You guys are elite. I wrote the Warriors are just playing a little bit dumb. Yeah, like they were trying to be like a little cute at the beginning and everything, and I was kind of confused why. And like the Kings defense was clearly really locked in, so it just felt like they weren't quite there, especially the veterans like Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, stuff like that. It just didn't really seem like it was there. All right, you guys are lucky. I found a virtual whiteboard that I can draw something up on. So something that the Golden State Warriors do that nobody can ever stop is basically the short roll on a pick and roll, because the yellow is the Warriors, the purple are the Kings, right? And so I'm going to try to draw this out as best as I can on this. So essentially what happens a lot of times is like, this is Draymond Green, right? He's coming to set a screen for Curry, and a lot of times what happens is people want to like hard hedge Curry so that he can't get around and get a shot off, right? So this is Keegan Murray, this is like De'Aaron Fox, and what happens is he throws a little like pocket pass here to Draymond. It normally happens a little bit more down here, but that's why it's called the short roll, because he doesn't roll all the way. He gets to here, and then this is where Draymond like really executes well, right? Like that's where he's really executing. And like nobody in the NBA has ever really like stopped it before. And the Kings were like kind of doing it, because what normally happens here is like the 5 has to step up here because you can't help one pass away here because there's usually a shooter here. This guy's usually stunting a little bit, trying to guard both. And Draymond Green's smart enough to it usually becomes a lob, but he'll hit like whoever messes up on here. If he steps in too close, he hits him here. Like a lot of that stuff happens. What the Kings were doing is like Fox was kind of jumping off it pretty quick and was banking on that shot going down, so he'd follow him from behind. And what the 5 and 2 were really doing is they were really just closing in at like the same time and being really tall to be like, hey, yeah, like we're gonna make it really hard for you to hit this 5. And what the 1 was kind of doing, what I noticed is like he was kind of either one attacking him from behind, and they got a couple steals this way and like got a couple pokeaways for turnovers, but also he was ready to X out should the ball kind of skip over there, right? So it was awesome to see that. Like they were just really in sync with it. Like it like obviously there's holes to it and it broke down sometimes, but it was really cool to see Sacramento kind of figure all that stuff out. But yeah, no, so that's it for Golden State this year. Obviously the Kings are going to play the Pelicans now. I'll have a video coming out later today where we're kind of talking about what that game could look like, so be on the lookout for that. That's why you subscribe and do all of that stuff, right? So that you see when I post a video. Yeah, no more plugs. I find that stuff really cringy, but I have to do it. But yeah, no, like, what does this mean for the Warriors going forward? I'd like to think that they're going to try to bring these guys back. We'll see if Trayce Jackson-Davis keeps developing. Who knows what happens to Chris Paul? I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move a Kuminga. Oh, you know what? Shout out Moses Moody. Moses Moody played well last night. So shout out Moses Moody. Maybe he comes back and maybe he has a bigger role next year. I don't know. Like, they've all kind of expressed that they're like, at least the young guys, like, we're not really sure we want to be here. So I'll be very curious to see what they do with this roster, because Steph Curry can still go win you a championship, and I think Klay Thompson and Draymond Green can still contribute to it. So I just think you have to rework the rest of it. If Andrew Wiggins can come back and be Andrew Wiggins, then cool. If not, maybe you got to find a trade partner for him and attach a pick to it or a young player or something to make it happen. I'm sure the Bulls would be dumb enough to it. They said they want Kuminga, so who knows? Maybe they can go get Caruso or something that way. But the Warriors, I'm sure they'll be back and better than they were this year. That's my prediction at least. But hey, shout out Sacramento Kings, man. You guys got it done. And that's the play-in coverage for the first day. Hopefully I touched on all of it for you guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, where you see all this stuff ending up. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.